Hello everyone, and welcome back to Napoleon Total War as the British, where previously we left off under siege, very dastardly move from the Grand Duchy of Oldenburg to take advantage of our very recent capture of Cleves over here with Alexander Abercrombie. We are of course somewhat damaged from that battle, and we could take this battle on, I think, and win with some fair losses on our own side. Of course, you can see the amount of chevrons of experience these well-trained troops actually hold here, and even have some well-trained militia, which is very interesting indeed. They can attack us over the end turn, or they can wait to siege us out. We do possibly get the aid of our allies from Holland over here. Of course, we are their protectorate, which is very useful indeed. Or we could risk waiting the end turn to sort it out ourselves with Michael's Stole. But I think we can do this without directly attacking this army, if my game knowledge is in fact correct. Which has been a while since we've used this, I don't know if it's exactly an exploit. We have an army standing over here in Hamburg. This was used as primarily a defensive army to make sure the Prussians and such could not get into Denmark. So we do have the threat of attack from this army over here, and of course Alexander Klein in this area here. But we're going to try and take away Oldenburg by taking their capital. Just going to maintain the siege there very quickly, as they do have a very basic army comprising solely, well, not exactly solely, but largely of infantry. No cannons exactly. We're going to come around with a second army we're creating in Denmark as well, to bring about the rear and protect us over the end turn if we do need to. We do have one more unit recruiting in Denmark there to aid us, which is absolutely fine. And this is actually quite a decent starting general in George Walker here with the drill master traits. What trait do we have for this general? I thought there was something interesting. Nothing exactly interesting, just a little bit of command, not a problem. But we can take this fight. The idea with that is that we will destroy all of the territories belonging to Oldenburg there, and therefore dissipating this army. But we'll see. That might just turn into a rebel army and carry on sieging us down. But this does at least hurt them very hard indeed. So fairly standard once again. We do have a massive artillery advantage, which we're going to hopefully make good use of in this battle. So let's go down our plan of attack before we press the start battle button. We have split up our 4 units of 5-inch howitzers. We're going to use 2 on our left flank, take this sort of hill, small ridge over here, to overlook the town, just assuming the enemy does want to pull back and stay within Oldenburg itself. So the artillery should force them out, of course, if possible there. You can see their deployment zone does cover the town very handily there. So we are going to have to very likely push in, which does not favour us whatsoever. Do have a couple units of grenadiers, which do have the better melee stats. But of course, we don't want it to come down to that. On our right side, we've gone very, very heavy indeed. This is where the majority of our army is concentrated, simply because it's somewhat more open over here. And I get the feeling if we can push that side very quickly and bring the initial engagement over there, the enemy will want to come through the town out to the right side, and we can bring it to the open ground there, which does suit us a bit better. So we're going to bring our cannons a little more central over here to the centre right, into the open ground here. No particular reason for that, just it gives us some good covering fire for our men in that space. Otherwise, we do have some standard line as some central reserves. And that's pretty much the setup. So let's get going. Well, we're going to pause here because it looks like the enemy actually wants to play aggressively for a change. It appears their complete lack of artillery means that they do want to push. So we're going to stop here. We're right in the enemy's faces already. If we sit on, it's a minor reverse slope looking at it from the enemy's perspective here. So they shouldn't have easy line of sight over our cannons there. So we're going to immediately unlimber. And we're going to double time to... I really want to get to the brow over here because that's some good cover. So we'll double time our grenadiers there. And we'll move up to cover our artillery in this area here, because it looks like the enemy cavalry does in fact want to move to an aggressive position there. Going to hold behind their flanks, but we do need to keep a good eye on these chevaulegers, of course. So we'll give our cannons a hard time if we let them in at all. Let's take a look at the right flank. We've actually misjudged this. The enemy has gone fully to the left flank. So we're going to bring up our central reserves, I think. Actually, this is looking pretty decent. We'll just move them more succinctly over here. And how are we looking with our cannons? Have we unlimbered? We certainly have. Going to keep on standard explosive shells. And as we fire out there, what are we firing onto? Some standard armed citizenry. And that will land amazingly in the centre of their line there. That is brilliant. How they haven't retreated already out of that after losing 40 men from that regiment. In fact, some of them getting up. 'Tis but a flesh wound. Fighting for their nation there, of course. They're aware of the struggle, but it looks like we're going to have to square up here as the chevaulegers do in fact threaten. And what we can do is come around here, turn around with our Black Brunswickers and fire on the enemy's flank. We're forcing the chevaulegers, the armed citizenry there to rout off. And in fact, the chevaulegers not going for the charge we were expecting. We will maintain a square though, as we're not currently threatened by the masses of infantry over here. The chevaulegers do still threaten us, even if their morale does get shocked very highly there. And are we in range with our Black Brunswickers? No, we're not, but that's absolutely fine. In fact, they're going to run into our range now. Just about. That does allow us to get some shots off there with the heavy sound of the cannons there, really enforcing that rout. Absolutely disgusting. Yeah, I think we can break that square now, as we do now fire from this ridgeline down into the armed citizenry and the infantry garrison there with our own British Grenadiers. We'll win that very handily. Where are our cannons firing into this mass once again. I think I'm preferring the standard howitzers to the experimentals, if I'm honest. We might have to change those round. So our flank defence force has done its job. It's pushed the enemy a little more central, meaning we can push in ourselves. We've missed this though completely. We need to remember to unlimber our cannons and actually pull back here. And we're going to use our protective heavy dragoons here to take the fight with the chevaulegers before we lose our light infantry there. We should be in range really to get some flanking shots with our standard foot. Might just push that forwards a tad. And they're allowing us to retreat, so we will double time that all the way back. We will keep pressing the cavalry attack there, as that will go very well with our flanking shots here. In fact, losing quite a few men already. If we make sure we're firing into the infantry over here, so we don't get any friendly fire there. We're going to have a very limp and spread out charge. Yeah, the cannons are going to ignore our orders for now. What we need to do there is take them off with fire at will. Let them circle round. Yeah, oh, our men are running. What's going on there? Why are we running? Because they've encircled us. That is interesting. Not taking good account of this whatsoever. Let's bring our general round. We're expecting the fight to happen somewhere else. That's absolutely fine. If we move here, change our cannon fire into this massive infantry, and we can recover from that. Just a minor rout for now. We will return. If we've seen it from armed citizenry, we'll certainly see it from our standard line. Going to perform a square in the rear, but that cavalry charge will not make contact. It will disrupt us a tiny bit. Messy. Stretched out far too much. And we've forgotten about this. Let's get over here. Push a little bit with these units. And what we can do is sit on the bottom of the hill with our line infantry and sit on the top with our light to hopefully fire overhead. I think we need to double time this. Okay, we're wide open here with our cannons, so they need to focus that down. Hopefully we can rouse off the cavalry before anything bad happens there. I think we should be fine. Our line infantry taking up the right flank there. Let's take another look over here. Let's bring in our own cavalry a little more there. But we really need to push this flank hard so that we can concentrate on our centre a little better there. So let's reposition. Take the wood line cover. Double time in there, please. And we'll carry on firing onto this routing unit with our cannons to force them off that much harder. Where is our general? In fact, what's going on over here? I think we pull back over here. They're going to force another infantry charge. The AI is loving this recently. Absolutely loving it. So we need to pull our general back here then instead and start getting some canister shots out. Needed to do that yesterday. It's going to be far too late. Or are they even going to carry on? Oh, that's going to be dirty, but it looks like a misfire perhaps. There we go, now it's popping off. Doesn't quite get the route we need, and we need to support with our cavalry in the centre there. Are we firing overhead with our light infantry? We certainly are. Not quite positioned here though. Mass rout in the centre there. Looks like our cannons are going to struggle though, which is going to be a problem. We need to pull in with our general and inspire the cavalry. And that will happen once it gets in range. So many infantry melee charges recently, hasn't there? Are we still manning the guns though? We are, which is very interesting. Our countercharge has prevailed. And we're going to follow through with our cavalry, I think, and keep our cannons on hold. Because we are going to get massive, massive friendly fire once we do follow through with that. Taking this left flank very securely indeed, but we need to watch out for returning units, and we need to really push in, I think, with these central units. Let's do that very quickly. And we need to just move in here to fire onto the ranks here. Very battered as this unit of garrison infantry, but not battered so much that they want to run away. Do find some more Chevaulegers on our flank. So what we're going to do is canister shot once again and fire out onto the enemy here. We need to reposition our cannons though. See, this one just completely mispositioned there. How are our own cavalry doing? I think we push them, pull them back actually, because our numbers aren't quite good enough there to take on the acting general. But they've done their job. They've stalled the enemy, pushed them back so that we can carry on firing. Why are we not moving with our own cannons? Might have to do a very awkward limber up there, you know? Are they going to listen now? They are. Well, heard in the end. Gone deaf, of course, from watching the artillery so well. We're going to get some shots out, though. We do find a chevron of experience there, but it looks like we're having some trouble with the terrain, I think. It's okay. We'll find a route there. I think we need to risk some friendly fire to attack this cavalry. Push harder once again over here. And that will have to be double timed. I don't care how tired we are there. We do find some artillery shells landing on the enemy there, which is excellent. Might want to get them though into this massive clump if possible. We're going to struggle here otherwise. Let's bring our general very close there to support our morale. Should have been much, much easier, really. We should not have had this much trouble. Let's bring over here. We do see some enemy Lightfoot, some Jaegers, in fact, firing on us there. And let's move to the flank here to support our general. Double time that. Move up over here. In fact, I might even want to go much closer and really force an engagement against those Jaegers, which we are doing with our Black Brunswickers. Yeah, and I'm not surprised our Swiss line is running from that cavalry charge eventually, but it looks like we do force off the enemy there. Let's once again change to explosive shells to get the range onto this massive group of infantry. We do see some more cavalry coming. Let's pull back here. We recover from the rout. But hopefully we can get some shots down into the Chevaulegers now charging in with their acting general. It looks like we are doing so. Where are those cannons firing right into the clump exactly where we want? Are we going to be in time to deal with the cavalry here, is the question. So we're stuck still with this massive group of infantry here. Not really doing too much, unfortunately, there. Enemy is going to stand in front of our cannons, which suits us just fine for our massive canister shots into their acting general. The enemy is largely routing and are definitely on the back foot, but we've taken far too many losses once again. Let's bring our general to the flank here. push up over here so we can't get flanked ourselves. And we're going to have to push up over here. Yeah, double time this please, because the enemy is threatening with more Chevaulegers. And in fact, we stop here and see if they just run into our range. They're gonna ignore this unit. I don't think we square here. I think we should be fine. In fact, the enemy is going to rouse off under some fire from the flank there, from our grenadiers. Yeah, our canister shot completely shattering their acting general. Excellent. So let's get some more out onto this unit of line infantry. So we should be battling here. Under half ammo now for ourselves. And we should be okay to rouse off this cavalry before it makes contact. And we're very mispositioned now though. Oh, they might... No, they're just about going to rouse off before they make contact there. You see the difference these chevrons of experience really make on enemy morale. They would have made contact had they been attacked quicker. But I think just a couple more units here now, just refusing to go down. And that will be a surprisingly tough victory. Definitely not easy. Well, told that was a heroic victory. Not entirely sure how, with so many losses and such a messy engagement there. But we do get some good experience across the board, especially on our cannons. Probably because of that melee charge. But let's see how that affects our siege from Oldenburg. We are going to peacefully occupy that rather than create a protectorate, simply because I want our held victory regions up. And in fact, we do hold 23 out of a 20 needed. So we only have the specific Hanover and Parma to take now, which is very ideal indeed. Nation destroyed, the Grand Duchy of Oldenburg. How does that affect Cleves? And there we go. Plan did go according to how I wanted it. And that's excellent. So we didn't have to fight that battle. And we will be able to replenish over a turn or so in this army, which is excellent. And we gain the trait Siege Expert for more commanding when sieging, which is excellent. We'll upgrade the mines here. Double check the infrastructure to get that up because it's only basic roads. And that should be okay. We're just now at the mercy of how the Prussians manoeuvre at the end of the turn. So at the end of the turn we do have some interesting news. An agent has been detected over here. It's interesting because there's no one about to protect him. But we do see we are in fact under a counter siege from Oldenburg over here, which is not too much of a bother. We have been raided in Metz by the straggling army over here. Not a problem. We could deal with that with John Moore very easily in fact. And that is the same army there raiding us. We do have some excellent recruitment in Denmark and a 98 gun second rate in the Mediterranean Sea. We can click to that. That's excellent. We could send that over to Nelson to reinforce him there. What happened to our trading ships? They're over here because they did have to retreat. Is there anyone occupying the ivory? There certainly is. What about the tea over here? Oh, we could take that. Tea is very, very nice indeed. Don't personally drink it myself though. Big shock. We have production in Spain, which is excellent. We'll go to the Course of Justice in Dublin as well. Let's see. That's a top tier museum over here, which is excellent. And we'll be sending this gentleman over here. We certainly will. Let's see if he fits in here. And he does. So that's going to help us get General Staff, which is a crucial technology. And we were changing Heidelberg over to become a secret society to create more agents. The Ottoman Empire has been completely wiped out. That's interesting. Very, very interesting indeed. The Austrians very, very powerful in this playthrough. Very powerful indeed. Which is a strange turn of events. So what are we going to do about Oldenburg over here? Because we do have a couple options. We could immediately counterattack with this army over here. And I feel like we could do that. But it might be a bit better to simply bring up the rear over here to get Storm moving. We could attack with this army. So that we do have two armies together in Oldenburg. Or we could get an easy victory with this unit and get some well-needed experience on what was originally a defensive army, which is why you see mostly standard line infantry. Or we could use that to go straight into Hanover and perhaps force a peace with the Prussians, because there's no real need to go for Berlin. It'd be nice, an excellent trophy, very excellent trophy indeed. I wonder if we can actually just take that by peace anyway. It's worth a shot, but I doubt it. Let's go for regions and Hanover. And to sweeten the deal, we will give them something useless like steam engine. And we'll go for mass production. And they've said no. Okay, not a problem. What about we use our masses and masses and masses of money? Everyone likes a bit of money. Let's try and offer them some of that. Well, even after a massive offering of 20,000 gold, the Prussians said no. Hanover is apparently far too precious, and they seem to think they have the upper hand with this particular siege going on. Well, I doubt that's the case. While our current military standing is the highest, in fact, it's very nearly double what the Prussians' military standing is. So I don't see how they see that, but not a problem. Let's go and attack it with... Let's attack it with... Do we think this army is going to move is a question, because I would love to get some early experience on with this unit, and I think we can take this battle very easily. It'd be a very close range fist fight, with neither of us really having a massive amount of cannons. But I think that brings on some good experience. So we're going to leave Hamburg open and go for that. Now, we could, of course, auto-resolve this, but I think we'd take heavy losses, more heavy losses than what we would if we force it manually. But yeah, a fairly standard army from the enemy here. A lot of musketeers with 7 morale as it stands with just 1 chevron. And in fact, 7 morale with 2 chevrons there. The accuracy not really matching ours. The morale actually matching ours, which is interesting. I thought the Prussians had lower, but not a problem. Well, rather awkwardly at the start of the battle, because we did not deploy with a full 20 stack, we do get reinforced by our general from the defending army there. And that will be reinforcing from the enemy's flank. He's not going to be at all useful in this position. It's not an offensive unit. I think what we do is, in fact, we retreat him off. If he does decide to retreat off, there we go. Takes a while, doesn't it? I'd just rather make sure we don't lose him. Sure, that would trade him for some cavalry. Much better. Okay, so we can keep the cavalry hidden, perhaps in the trees, if in fact they do hide. We'll wait for that to come on as we move in here. So that's going to appear for us. Looks like we're getting some pathing issues there. But we're going to need to get control of them soon, because they will be also moved to the centre of the battle here. We're getting a little bit of a bother there. There we go. Lovely. Let's pull them back here. Yeah, you can see what I mean. Enemy is going to try and take that with some lancers, though. We can take that fight with our dragoons, but it might draw the rest of the enemy through here. Let's see if we can get in here. We can, of course, dismount and try and hide there. We'll keep an eye on that. Are we in position with our cannons? We are, but it's not the best of lines, is it? And because we are horse artillery, we can move up, I think, to a more favourable position over here. We could double time that because we're dragged by more cavalry there. So I think the idea is to take this area here and use the wood line as cover. Bring up with some reserves here. We have reserves on either side. And what we do is we bring 2 men over here of our cannons. And 2 men over here to plug the gap. Looks like the enemy's not moving for our reinforcing cavalry, which is ideal. And it looks like we found an engagement already. We're not exactly ready for this. They have some Prussian Fusiliers, which are, of course, some light infantry over here, trying to push forwards, taking the tree cover themselves by the looks of things. We've taken an initial burst from them, but really very, very minor losses. In fact, they're going to trade blows in an unfavourable way for them. And that will wreck their already wavering morale there. Because they're already tired, which is interesting. Looks like we need to bring up our own general, though. Are we... We're not firing on the flank, are we? No, it's just the smoke there, which is interesting. I think we take off fire at will just in case, though. And in fact, what we can do is bring on fire at will once again here. Just bring up the flank over here. Double time that. We have unlimbered with our cannons. We can see we are firing into the centre, which is not ideal because that's some terrible counter battery with the building cover that the enemy does have. Can we position... I think actually what we do is just reposition a tad, take this ridge so we can fire over our men. And what we can do is take the hill over here with these two units. And what we do is we position a little better over here. There we go. So, I think what we do is just inspire this unit a bit better. And we do that. Are we nearly in range here? Very nearly. Not exactly how I asked. We'll just spread out a bit more. Make sure we're in better range because the enemy does have some excellent tree cover here. They are shaken and tired though, so we should shatter them fairly easily with some flanking fire here. So we hide in the woods ourselves. It should be fairly decisive. We barely see the enemy though. We do see they take some excellent losses despite having that cover there. That's where our slightly better accuracy does come in useful. Yeah, they're now very tired themselves. They've been running everywhere. It looks like the enemy is going to try and threaten us a little harder in the centre there. Need to watch out for enemy cavalry coming in. We have limbered up with our cannons once again. We'll just sit over here on this area of the hill and we'll be able to fire into the majority of the enemy units there, which is excellent. I think we double time this because the enemy is trying to push the hill themselves. You can see they're very nearly in range. We just need to position ourselves better there and we should be good. We're in a good defensive line here as they push in with their musketeers into the open ground. They'll find that we're ready for them. Even able to fire over the little ridge here. Is excellent. We're just about ready here. We do find that we're going to fire onto the enemy. Wonder who this favours really, because we're on the reverse slope, which should give us some minor cover, but it does obscure our line of sight a tad. We do find some good kills though. So we're ready to unlimber once again. I think we actually ignore this area and go straight down the centre here. Yeah, we're tired over here ourselves, and I'm guessing winded on this area. I think what we do is we make this really hard for the enemy and push right into their faces. Guess on the side so we can fire down the column there. How are we doing? Some good kills. And I think we fire, like we just said, right down the middle here. We could fire into the reserves. I'm not so interested just yet in that. We get a barrage off to help our reload. We follow, I think, how we fire. Yeah, excellent shots is down the line here. Into the open ground, over our infantry's heads. And we're going to help shatter the morale. Look at that. Absolutely brilliant. You love to see it. And as we move over here, the enemy does reposition to fight these men. Because they recognise the flank. Taking a fair few losses here, so I think what we do is we reshuffle, bring in our reserves. And make sure our cannons are going to fire on these Swiss Grenadiers. And as we know, they're very nasty themselves. So the enemy might want to flank over here. So what we do is we bring in our reserves over here, slowly though. I think actually we just move in here a tad. We might want to be very greedy and move in this position because we're idling at the moment and we can make sure this unit does rout a little harder there. How we do with our reserves, because it's not good morale for us. We've not taken many losses. We have taken a fair few of this unit. We've not got a lot of extra experience to show for that. I think we move over here. Push up here to help. So we're going to be flanked, I think, very, very soon. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I think now we change what our cannons are firing at because we have a huge, massive infantry coming in here. Huge, huge, massive infantry. We have rotated our cannons to fire. And that should be fine. We can see the scuffs if we struggle with the terrain there. But that might even find some collateral on their general staff. Knock someone off of his horse. That's brilliant. I think we move up with our cavalry as well, just to be a little closer to that. We could force some disruption there. We're not quite in range with this unit, so we take this tree cover. And we still fire overhead with our cannons, so that's excellent. And the enemy are actually going to take this building, are they? With some... Or are they? It says they're in there with their cannons. That's interesting, because they can't do too much. They can't fire their cannons out of there. You can't even see them in the building. Oh, here we go. They're just sitting on the edge there. So that blocks their cannons. That's absolutely fine. We can deal with that. And are the enemy going to be in range of some lovely canister shots overhead? Just about. Oh, that might have gone through our own men there. Let's get a barrage off once again. In fact, we go to round shot now to help us out. And we need to push in with our general over here because we're taking a massive morale shock here, which we should not be doing. Of course, we move in with our reserves in this area. How are our reserves doing in this area? We push this while the enemy's tired and without a formation. And we double time onto the flank. Look at the balance of power now, really helping us out. And our reserve cavalry can get this isolating unit of lancers finally. I think what we do is take the time to... Oh, is it really worth? I want to unlimber and just reposition to a few meters ahead. I don't think that's going to do too much for us at the moment. I think what we do is we push in a little more with this unit. Gives this unit a little more space to spread. And how have we dealt with this area? Guessing in with our reserves, let's push in and pull back here. And that would be brilliant. Now, should we cancel this move order because we are firing on some manoeuvring men who can't fire back. And I think we just make this a little more succinct here to move in line with our own men. What's going on over here is the question. How are our cavalry doing? They're charging a little too far ahead. I think we get a flanking charge here. Onto this battered unit of men over here. How are we doing against the lancers? We have taken that fight, but the enemy seems to try to retreat. And we're going to get an excellent rear charge off. The enemy is realising with their flanking rank. That's excellent. We get some experience on the charge there. And that will force off these two units once we make good contact here. We do fire on their flanks, which is great. And I think we immediately go for the cavalry charge into these Prussian Fusiliers who cannot perform squares, as we do perfectly shatter that unit. Which does free up these two now. Although very low on ammunition is this unit. So we pull these back, bring in our reserves, and that'd be great. I think I might almost want to force a melee onto this unit of cannons. How are we doing over here? Could be doing better. One of our units has used all its ammunition now. Where is that? That is in the centre, which is not ideal. We need to pull back. These aren't reserves, these are already battered and need to pull back themselves. That's interesting. Very interesting. We do see some returning men there, but I think we carry on following the Fusiliers. Protect with this unit. In fact, I think we protect with this unit and push in with the fresh reserves a little better there. Take that. And do we snipe the general? I think we probably do. Let's double time through the streets there. We are beating back these lancers, although we're taking heavy losses ourselves. Should not be the case really, with our superior melee capabilities. Push up a little here. In fact, it is just cannons here. I'm going to force a melee with them, because we're not going to do too much otherwise. It looks like our own cannons are becoming less effective now as the battle moves into the streets. Let's snipe the general. Taking some... What's going on here? Under small arms fire, apparently. Oh, so they did get into the building there. That's interesting. That's very interesting. We hold fire with our cannons. And I think what we do is we take this central line. This unit of cannons will route so. Move in here and make this dirty. That is very, very messy indeed. How are we doing against the Lancers? Have they routed off? They have, which is excellent. So, enemy is recovering from a square there. We force a massive melee here, I think. Force a massive melee to help our men in the town now. Do like to avoid town battles, but unfortunately here we've been forced into it. Come over here to fire. Is this... It's not exactly the flank, but they're jumbled. Okay, we're going to take infantry charge there. We double time in here. Like so. And we abandon the building because it's not helpful anymore. We do take this cavalry charge here into the enemy's flank, which will allow us to move in here. We do finally kill their general. Alexander Klein is down. And we have easily taken the centre here. But I think we pull out very quickly with our cavalry. Don't push this. We can come in for a second wind later on. Huge blocks of men here. Not ideal formations. But I think we have the advantage here because they're very narrow themselves. Can't get everyone to fire out. We do have some tree cover. We're about ready to fire, I think. And that'll be absolutely beautiful once we do. Yeah, there we go. Love to see it. In fact, only fire with a few men ourselves. We might want to reposition for that. Okay, I think we reposition very quickly. Let that last one fire out. And struggling with the buildings, of course. Let's move here. We could try and take this building. It wouldn't exactly accommodate us all. Let's move to the flank here to stay out of the enemy's gun range. How are we doing here? Are we firing on their flanks? No. But we are firing from multiple angles. How are we doing with this unit of cavalry? I think they need to pull out, really. Completely. And just chase down enemies, really. And yeah, like I said, this is going to get very, very messy. Very, very messy indeed. How many men do we have here? Looking for something that the building might be able to accommodate here so we can fire into the enemy without really impeding the rest of our formation. I think what we do, fire in advance here. A very rarely used button, but in fact the enemy is going to retreat, so we won't be seeing that. We'll tease it. I think this is pretty much over. Yeah, it's easily over. What we do is we charge in here. And we could even get to the flank here. Double time that. And fire onto the enemy there. Well, there we go. Surprisingly fewer losses than I was expecting with that becoming a disgustingly horrible town battle. But we have taken on that Prussian army. It's not exactly annihilated, but we'll certainly take that. Do get +1 to command when attacking on land, of course, with George Townsend there, which is excellent. And we will be able to replenish very quickly indeed, which is excellent. What's the infrastructure looking like here? Because we have metalled roads. Do like some metalled roads. Can we force a peace now with Prussia is the question. If we ask for peace and, of course, go for Hanover once again, that will save everyone some fight. So we'll even give them reparations. And they've still said no at quite a hefty bribe. So, reparations. What we'll do is we try and sabotage this army. Oh, 45% success chance there. Not liking that. And of course it doesn't work. Not a problem. Absolutely not a problem. It's fairly basic. In fact, it's fairly basic. They've got some Prussian light grenadiers here. Nasty units indeed. But that is, of course, all we have time for today, ladies and gentlemen. Very close to the closing grasp onto the Prussia lands there. And with that stranglehold of Hanover, and I think we try and push into Hessen Castle as well, where possible. but that should push them back all the way to Berlin, and that really should force a peace with the enemy there. But we'll see about that. That is, of course, for the future. Thank you very much for watching, everyone, and I hope all of your nights and days are auspicious. Goodbye.